Okay, so we are in week 3. Let me go here, course, and then new file. Let's say class demo.py, and I should also open an integrated terminal. Okay, so let's give a name class. Let's say student info. Okay, I can consider including parentheses, or I can just leave it like this. Then the first thing I need to do is to define the initializer method. Init method. So this is the init method. The self is the first parameter always, and what information I'm expecting to pass while creating a student object, the student information. Maybe first name, last name, and let's say email and phone. Okay, these are the 4 parameters I should pass whenever I want to create or whenever I want to store the information about the student. Okay, now self dot first equals first. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving it a unique name, just like you are defining a variable inside a function. So I can simply define another thing like self dot a equals first. So what will happen? Whatever the value of first being passed, it will be assigned to a. So I'm just giving it a name first dot first. Okay, and the reason why I'm including self is because if I exclude self, or let's say I write a equals first, so what will happen? Whatever the value first is being passed in the first parameter, it will be assigned to a. Now if I have another, let's say def and get email method, and self should always be the first parameter, and let's say return email, and if I say email equals or e equals email. So if I use this self e equals email, so the scope, now recall the concept of a scope. The scope of e is confined to what? Is the same, it's confined to this function only. Okay, it's only confined to this definition. If I include self dot e, then I can access this one here, self dot e. I can access this variable in any other method defined inside the class. Okay, this is important. So usually how we define these things is we give it the same name, self dot first equals self dot first. Similarly, self dot last equal last. Similarly, self dot email equals email, and then self dot say phone equals phone. Okay, so I have a method defined as get email underscore name, or maybe I can also do like update phone self dot phone equals phone. So do you understand what I'm doing here? So I have first of all initializer method. So whenever an object is created, initializer method will automatically run. So when a method runs or when a function is called, it expects that the required parameter is passed. Okay, which means that I have to pass first, last, email and phone parameters, and when I pass these arguments, it will assign it to the new variables which has to be I mean, it's the same name, self.first, self.last, email and phone. You can give anything, but whatever name you are giving here, you would be able to access these variables in any other methods with the same name. So since I'm using the same name, I can actually use the same name in another method within the same class. Okay, so I have only two methods here, get mail. So if I want to retrieve an email address of in this student, okay, so I would run this method and it will return the email associated with that student. Similarly, I have another method of updating a phone number. So if a student changes their phone number, I can only run this method and pass the new phone number, okay, and then the new phone number will be updated in the database. Okay, so now I have this class template created. So I can call this student info class. Okay, I can now, I do not need to pass the self parameter here. So let's say I pass the first name as Adil and the last name as Shahzad, and let's say email as 1234@hotmail, or let's say gmail.com, and the phone number is 123456778. Okay, so this is I'm passing this information to create an object, but also I have to give this object a name. Okay, let's say I give this name Adil. Okay, so this is one student's information that I have actually created. Similarly, I can create I can create another object, say John. I give him name, first name, and I can pass his second name, email address, let's say email@gmail.com, and the number is 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so now based on this class, I have created two objects. Now let's test this thing, print, and if I pass, let's say Adil, so let's see what it prints. It is an object, and in order to access individual attributes associated with this object, I have to use the dot notation in order to access a certain variable, just as same as we use dot notation in while importing modules, right? So Adil dot, let's say first, or let's say instead of student 1, student 2. Okay, so maybe I can just write student 1 and print its first name. Now let me run the code, Python 3, its name is class demo, bless you, and it gives me the first name associated with student 1, which is Adil. Okay, I can also do what? Student 1, and instead of accessing each attribute the proper way of retrieving, let's say email address. So what is the email address associated with student 1? So we know that we have a method defined as get email. So in order to call a function, you must include parentheses at the end of the name of function. Okay, let's see, and it retrieves, it accesses the, so when I call this function, the method associated with this object, it goes here, it executes this method, and it read this value self.email and returns it. Okay, I can try updating a phone number. Let's say student 2, first of all, let's say print student 2 phone, and I write student 2 dot phone. It will print the phone number. Okay, so this is the phone number, and now I want to do is update the phone number. Update phone, and I have to pass, since this method I'm trying to run, it is expecting me to pass one parameter. Okay, so I will pass this value new phone number, which is, let's say, 30 random thing. Okay, I'm passing it as a string. I can consider passing it as a simple. Oh, I have been passing everything as a string, so I'll pass this as a string also. Okay, so this is the updated phone number now, and I can consider printing this thing again and see student 2 updated phone, and let's see what it prints. I'm just removing these two. Okay, so initially the phone number was this, and then it is updated to this one. Okay, so this is how you play around with creating classes and creating objects. I know it is a little bit complicated, but practice makes you perfect. So yeah.
What if you wanted to like print all the attributes like at once?
All the attributes at once, then you may consider like adding another like method. Let's define definition get all whatever, let's say self, and then you return self dot name, sorry, self dot first, self dot last, self dot what is it, email, and then self dot phone. Okay,
Couldn't just return student info?
what?
You can't just return student info, like reference the class?
So where is the student info? So student info would return an object. It would not create. It's like it's an object created somewhere in the memory. So it will not return the attribute. It will return the entire object. It will show the location where this object is placed in the memory. Let's try printing this out. Print student, sorry, student 1. Okay, sorry. Let me just get rid of these and print student 1 get all, and we'll see. So it returns the location. It tells that it's an object of a class student info, and it is placed at this memory location. So memory locations are always defined by a number, so it is placed at this memory location. Okay, and when we executed this method get all, it returns a tuple. Remember, tuples are the sequence of elements separated by comma. All the values are separated by comma. It doesn't matter if I enclose all these values in parentheses or not, it would be considered as a tuple. So you can see that it returned a tuple, and this is how we can actually return multiple values from the function. Okay. Okay.